There may be an old door in your life that you are still guarding, as if your entire future depends on it. You stand before it with both hands pressed against it, holding it closed, protecting it, waiting for it to move again. You remember when it opened. You remember what it gave you. And so you remain there, loyal and afraid, while the hallway behind you quietly changes shape. Wallace Wattles understood something that most people never allow themselves to believe. Sometimes the money door cannot open because both of your hands are still holding the old one shut. What once protected you can become the very wall that imprisons you. The teaching in this video is not about effort. It is not about trying harder at the door that has stopped moving. It is about something far more precise and far more difficult. It is about turning around. You know what your old door looks like. Perhaps it is the job you have outgrown, but cannot imagine leaving. The one that once felt like rescue, but now feels like a ceiling you press your forehead against every morning. Perhaps it is the client who defined your business for years, the one who may no longer be growing, the one you keep sending messages to out of habit and fear rather than genuine possibility. Perhaps it is a business model that worked in another season, an audience that has moved on, an offer that no longer lands the way it once did. You keep returning to it not because it is producing, but because it is known. And known, even when painful, feels survivable. Perhaps your old door is not even a job or a client. Perhaps it is an identity, the version of yourself that was defined by a certain kind of struggle, a certain level of income, a certain relationship to money that says you are someone who works hard but never quite breaks through. Perhaps your old door is a belief so old that you have forgotten it is a belief at all. You simply call it reality. You call it the way things are. You have built your expectations, your plans, and your sense of safety entirely around a door that Source may have already quietly closed behind you. What makes this so difficult is that you are not guarding the old door out of laziness. You are guarding it out of loyalty, out of memory, out of a very reasonable fear that if this door does not open, nothing will. The old door gave you your first experience of provision. It taught you that money could come. And now that it has grown still, you are not sure the law still applies to you somewhere beyond it. You have confused the channel with the source. You have given the old door a power it was never meant to hold. And somewhere in the hallway behind you, a new door is waiting, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, in the way that increase always begins. Wallace D. Wattles did not write about comfort. He wrote about increase. He wrote about a formless substance that responds to the mental image of the person who holds it with gratitude, certainty, and forward movement. He wrote about a certain way of relating to source, wealth, and action that does not anchor itself to any single channel. He understood that the source of supply is not the job, not the client, not the deal, and not the door. The source is infinite, formless, and entirely capable of opening new channels the moment the old one has served its season. The old door was never the source. It was always only the delivery system. And delivery systems can be changed. What Wattles described as the certain way is not a fixed route. It is a living, forward-moving orientation toward increase. It does not insist on one hallway. It does not demand that supply arrive through the same window twice. It moves with life, and life always moves toward more, toward expansion, toward new forms that carry the energy of increase forward. The person who stops moving, who plants themselves in front of a closed door and calls it faithfulness, is not practicing the certain way. They are practicing a very quiet form of fear that has disguised itself as patience, practicality, or wisdom. This teaching exists to give you what the masters understood and what modern financial anxiety tends to destroy: the capacity to recognize when a door has finished serving you, to release it without shame, and to turn toward the new opening that Source has already prepared in your direction. By the time this teaching is complete, you will understand the hidden law of the old door. You will understand what it costs you to guard what Source has already finished using. And you will have a precise and practical way to release the old, turn toward increase, and walk through the new money door that has been waiting for your attention all along. The visible world has a deeply seductive argument, and it makes that argument every single day to people who are standing in front of closed doors. The argument is this: what you already know is safer than what you do not know yet. The old job is predictable. You understand how it pays, when it pays, and how much it pays. You have survived inside it. You have learned its rhythms. Even if those rhythms no longer carry increase, even if the ceiling inside it has become unmistakable, the predictability itself feels like a form of protection. And the visible world calls that protection wisdom. The old client is known. You understand their preferences. You have a history with them. You have delivered for them before, and they have compensated you before. And the visible world says that history is worth protecting. Even if that client has stopped growing, stopped ordering, stopped calling, or stopped responding with the energy that once made the relationship fruitful, the known quality of it still feels safer than the unknown quality of a client you have not yet met. The visible world does not measure increase. It measures familiarity. And familiarity, even when it is declining, looks more solid than the new. The old strategy is familiar. You know how to execute it. You have failed at it and recovered. You have adapted it and returned. Your mind has a map of it. Every turn is marked. Every possible obstacle has been encountered and survived. And the visible world says that this familiarity is an asset, that it would be foolish to abandon a strategy you understand in favor of one that might not work. What the visible world does not say is that a map of a dead road is not a navigation tool. It is a monument. The old identity is comfortable in a way that is very difficult to overstate. You have built a story around who you are in relation to your work, your income, and your financial situation. That story has a door in it, a specific door through which you expect provision to arrive. And even if that door has stopped moving, the story that contains it has not been revised. You still introduce yourself by it. You still measure possibility by it. You still shape your daily effort around the idea that this particular door is how your financial life makes sense. Releasing the door would require releasing the story. And releasing the story feels like losing yourself. The old struggle is understandable. This is perhaps one of the most powerful traps the visible world offers. When you have been in a particular financial difficulty long enough, it becomes a known terrain. You understand the specific shape of your lack. You know which days feel hardest. You know which conversations produce which feelings. You know how to survive inside your particular version of financial pressure. And because you know how to survive in it, a part of you is not entirely certain you know how to survive outside it. The old struggle is painful, but it is a pain that has already been survived. And that survival creates a strange attachment to the very limitation you wish to escape. The old door gives you pain you can manage. This is the precise reason the visible world argues so strongly for guarding it. The new door gives you possibility you cannot yet control, and the human mind, when it is operating from fear rather than faith, will consistently choose managed pain over uncontrolled possibility. Managed pain is predictable. Uncontrolled possibility is open-ended. The mind that has not yet learned to trust source tends to prefer a ceiling it can touch over a sky it cannot measure. Fear chooses familiar limitation over unfamiliar increase. This is not a weakness unique to the financially struggling. This is the fundamental pattern that Wattles was addressing when he spoke about moving forward in the certain way. He was not speaking to people who lacked intelligence. He was speaking to people whose intelligence had been captured by the visible world's argument for safety. Every person who has ever stood before a closed door, knocking with decreasing hope but increasing desperation, has made the fear choice. They have chosen what they know over what they cannot yet see. And the cruelest part of the visible world's argument is this: it frames the fear choice as responsible. It tells you that leaving the old door is reckless. It tells you that releasing the familiar is irresponsible. It tells you that the new door is uncertain, and uncertainty is dangerous. But the visible world never finishes that sentence honestly. It never says, and the old door, which you are calling safe, has already stopped producing increase. It never says what you are calling caution has already cost you months and years and opportunities that came and went while you were facing the wrong direction. The visible world is not lying to protect you. It is lying because it cannot see past its own surface. If you have felt the weight of an old door in your life while listening to this teaching, this is the moment to name it and begin releasing it. The first spiritual act of release is not a grand gesture. It is a quiet declaration made with honesty, with courage, and with the willingness to turn. If you are ready to stop guarding what source has already finished using, comment below right now and say exactly these words: I release the old door. Not because the old door was meaningless, not because the past was worthless, but because the source of your supply is not the door. It is the infinite invisible substance behind every door that has ever opened for you. Let that comment be your first movement. Let it be the declaration that begins to turn you from the closed door and toward whatever new opening source is already preparing. The people who leave that comment are not abandoning their past. They are honoring their future. They are saying, in the quiet language of faith, that they trust the source more than they trust the familiar channel. That is the beginning of the certain way. That is where the new money door begins to appear in your perception. There is a cost to guarding old doors. It is not immediately visible because it does not arrive as a single dramatic loss. It arrives as a slow erosion, a gradual dimming, a steadily narrowing sense of what is possible. The first and most pervasive cost is stagnation. When you commit your energy to maintaining a door that is no longer producing, you do not simply stay still. You begin to move slowly backward, because everything around you continues moving while you remain fixed. The world is not waiting for your old door to reopen. The world is generating new forms, new channels, new openings, and you are not available for any of them, because your attention is entirely absorbed by something that has already finished serving its purpose. The second cost is resentment. When the old door does not open, despite your continued effort, attention, and loyalty, a very natural bitterness begins to develop. You start to resent the door, the channel, the person or institution connected to it, the circumstances that closed it, and eventually source itself. You begin to interpret the closed door as abandonment rather than redirection. You begin to feel that the law of prosperity has failed you specifically, that you are somehow excluded from the increase that others receive, that your faithfulness has been ignored. This resentment is one of the most dangerous states a person can carry, not because it is irrational, but because it creates exactly the inner signal that makes new doors invisible. The third cost is a specific form of fear that is deeper than the original financial anxiety, the fear of change itself. When a person has been guarding an old door long enough, they begin to lose the psychological capacity for genuine movement. Each passing month that they remain loyal to the expired channel confirms the internal narrative that they are the kind of person who cannot successfully change. The fear of change becomes self-reinforcing. The longer you stay, the more afraid you become of leaving. And the more afraid you become of leaving, the longer you stay. The fourth cost is missed opportunity. This is not an abstraction. It is concrete and ongoing. While your attention is fixed on the closed door, real openings are presenting themselves in your life at a rate that your current attention level cannot register. A conversation that could become a new channel, a skill that could open a new door, a relationship that could connect you to a form of provision you have never encountered, a platform that could carry your offer to an entirely new audience. These things are not hypothetical. They are present, but they are not in the direction you are facing, and because you are not facing them, you do not see them, and they pass without recognition. The fifth cost is the repetition of dead patterns. When you guard an old door, you do not simply defend it passively. You actively recreate the behaviors, conversations, beliefs, and efforts that once made it function. You repeat the old strategy in slightly modified form, hoping it will produce a different result. You recreate the old approach with new surface details, but the same underlying architecture. You run the same pattern in new clothing, and then you wonder why the result is the same. Dead patterns are not simply ineffective, they are consuming. They eat the very energy that could be directed toward genuine discovery. The sixth cost is a decline in creative energy. There is a precise reason why people who have been guarding old doors for extended periods begin to feel depleted, uninspired, and creatively flat. Creativity is forward-looking by nature. It requires a degree of openness to the new, a willingness to encounter the unfamiliar and find something useful in it. But when the psyche is entirely oriented toward defending and reviving the old, creativity has no forward space in which to operate. The imagination becomes a caretaker of the past rather than a generator of new possibility. And over time, The person begins to feel that they are simply not a creative person, when in reality, they are a creative person who has been creatively imprisoned by old door loyalty. The seventh cost is the gradual transfer of blame to source. When the old door stays closed despite loyalty, effort, and time, and when new doors remain invisible because the viewer cannot yet see them, the most available explanation becomes this: Source has abandoned me. This explanation is understandable. It is also precisely wrong. Source has not abandoned the person standing before the closed door. Source has been directing them toward a new door for months or years. But because the old door loyalty has been interpreted as faithfulness rather than fear, the direction has been resisted, and the resistance has been felt as abandonment. Blaming Source for a closed door that Source intentionally closed as redirection is one of the most spiritually costly errors a person can make. The eighth cost is confusion. When a person is deeply committed to an expired channel and cannot understand why it is not producing, they typically enter a state of increasing cognitive confusion. They cannot understand what they are doing wrong. They cannot locate the source of the blockage. They try new tactics within the old framework. They read new strategies and apply them through the old identity. They listen to new teachings while standing before the old door. And none of it clarifies, because the diagnosis is not tactical. The diagnosis is directional. The problem is not what you are doing, the problem is where you are facing. The ninth cost is an eroding capacity to recognize new openings when they appear. This may be the most insidious cost of all. After a long period of old door loyalty, the mind begins to unconsciously dismiss new doors when they present themselves. They look too different. They do not match the familiar shape of provision. They do not arrive through the expected channel. They require a different skill, a different offer, a different identity, or a different story. And because the mind is deeply committed to the old shape of supply, new shapes feel suspicious. They feel like distractions. The mind labels them as not the real thing and turns back to the familiar door, which is already closed. The 10th cost is the inability to receive. Receiving requires openness. It requires a quality of inner attention that is moving forward, expecting new forms, and willing to be surprised by the route. But when a person is in old door posture, their receiving faculty is narrowed to a single channel. They can only receive through this particular door, from this particular direction, in this particular form, and Source, which has infinite channels available, cannot deliver through an opening the viewer has decided does not count. The receiving error is not in the supply. It is in the narrowness of the expectation, and old door loyalty is the primary source of that narrowness. Wallace Wattles did not write a philosophy of preservation. He wrote a philosophy of increase. He was precise about this. He taught that there is a formless substance from which all visible things are made, and that this substance is not limited in quantity, not exhausted by use, and not confined to any single form or channel. It is the source behind every door that has ever opened, and it is equally the source behind every door that has not yet opened. It does not diminish. It does not expire. It does not become unavailable. What changes is the channel through which it flows into visible form. Channels change, the source does not. At the center of Wattles' teaching is the principle that life always seeks increase. This is not merely an optimistic belief. He presented it as an observable law. The formless substance is always moving toward more, always expanding into new expressions, always seeking greater forms of fullness. The person who aligns with this law of increase is moving with the natural direction of life itself. The person who resists it, who insists on remaining in a form that life has already expanded beyond, is not being faithful. They are swimming against the current of the very law they claim to follow. The certain way, as Wattles described it, is not a specific plan. It is a specific manner of relating to source, to desire, and to action. It involves forming a clear mental image of what is wanted, holding that image with gratitude and certainty, and acting upon every opportunity that presents itself in alignment with that image. It does not specify the route. It does not demand that provision arrive through a predetermined channel. The certain way is about the inner state of the person and the forward quality of their movement, not about which particular door they are standing before. Channels can serve one season and end. This is not a teaching about failure or loss. It is a teaching about the living, dynamic nature of supply. The formless substance takes form through available channels, and when a channel has carried the full measure of increase, it was designed to deliver for a particular season of a person's life. It may complete its service. The job that provided during one decade may not be the vehicle of increase for the next. The client that built the early business may not be the client that expands it. The strategy that worked in one market condition may not translate to a different one. Completion is not failure, it is movement. Gratitude honors the old. Wattles placed enormous emphasis on gratitude, not as a sentiment, but as a spiritual practice with real effects on the relationship between the person and the formless substance. When an old door has served its season, the proper response is gratitude, not resentment, not panic, and not desperate revival. Gratitude says, "This channel delivered what it was meant to deliver. It served the purpose of source in my life. I am richer for having known it." Gratitude honors the channel without confusing it for the source, and it creates the inner spaciousness that allows new channels to be perceived. Faith releases the old. This is one of the most counterintuitive aspects of Wattles' teaching, and one of the most important. True faith is not the insistence that a specific channel must continue providing. True faith is the certainty that Source will provide, regardless of the channel. The person who is truly faithful to Source is not attached to any particular form of delivery. They hold the image of increase with certainty, and they trust the infinite supply to find its way through whatever door is currently open. This kind of faith is active, releasing, and forward-moving. It is not the white-knuckled holding on that masquerades as faithfulness when old door loyalty has become fear. Action enters the new. Wattles was clear that receiving is not passive. The person who holds a clear mental image and waits without movement is not practicing the certain way. They must also act, and the action must be taken on every opportunity that presents itself, not only the opportunities that match the familiar shape of the old door. Action enters the new means that when Source begins opening a different channel, the person who is paying attention will notice it and move toward it. They will not dismiss it because it looks different. They will not hesitate because it is unfamiliar. They will act with the same energy and certainty they once brought to the old door, but now directed toward the opening that life has actually provided. Increase may require a new door. This is the law in its simplest and most direct form. The formless substance seeks more. Life seeks increase. The certain way moves forward, and sometimes the precise mechanism by which the law of increase expresses itself in a person's life is the closing of one door and the opening of another. The person who insists on working only through the old channel is not demonstrating trust in Source. They are demonstrating trust in the channel, and the channel is not the source, it never was. Increase belongs to Source, it flows through channels. When the channel changes, the person who understands the law turns toward the new opening without grief, without shame, and without the false faithfulness that is actually only fear wearing a spiritual disguise. There is a belief operating inside many people who are reading this, and it must be examined directly and honestly, because it is the core of the old door loyalty. The belief sounds like this: if I release the old door, I will be unsafe. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like self-preservation. It sounds like the voice of experience and hard-won knowledge. But beneath that reasonable surface, it is a belief that has never been tested against the actual teaching of the Masters. Because the teaching of the Masters does not say that releasing an expired channel creates danger. It says the opposite. The old door is not your source. Hear this clearly. The job is not your source. The client is not your source. The strategy is not your source. The platform, the audience, the deal, the partnership, the business model, none of these things are your source. They are channels. They are the visible forms through which the invisible supply has chosen for a season to flow into your experience. When they close, the supply does not close with them. The source remains infinite, unlimited, and entirely capable of opening a new channel the moment you release the old one, with enough genuine openness to receive through it. What once protected you can later imprison you. This is perhaps the most important sentence of this entire teaching. The old door did not begin as a prison. It began as a genuine opening. It carried real increase into your life. It was a true channel for a true season. Honoring that is not only appropriate, it is necessary. But the moment you begin to guard it after it has closed, the moment you invest your identity, your energy, your attention, and your faith in reviving something that Source has completed, it transforms from a door into a wall. The thing that once opened for you becomes the thing that keeps you from turning around to see what is opening now. Loyalty to an expired channel is not faithfulness, it is fear. This is the disruption that Wattles' teaching demands. The person who has been standing before a closed door for months or years and calling it patience, perseverance, or faithfulness is not being praised by Source for their loyalty. They are being invited gently and persistently to turn around. What they are protecting is not the relationship with Source. What they are protecting is the identity, the story, and the plan they have built around a specific channel. And that protection is not coming from faith. It is coming from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of starting over, fear of not knowing who you are without the old door. The reframe that the Certain Way offers is this: releasing the old door is not recklessness. It is the highest form of trust in Source. It is the declaration that you believe the law of increase is real, that you believe the formless substance is unlimited, and that you believe Source can open a new money door that you do not yet have the ability to visualize. This is not careless abandon. This is the calm, deliberate, faith-based act of a person who has understood the law well enough to stop confusing the delivery system for the infinite supply behind it. Releasing the old door does not make you unsafe. It makes you available. If you keep guarding the expired door, you may remain unavailable for the open one. This is not a threat. It is a spiritual description of what attention, energy, and identity do when they are entirely consumed by the past. You cannot hold two complete orientations simultaneously. You cannot be fully turned toward the old door while also perceiving and acting on the new one. The old door posture is not neutral. It actively occupies the same psychological and spiritual space that new door perception requires. You are not doing nothing when you guard the old door. You are doing something very specific. You are closing your own field of receiving to the one channel you have already decided must be the right one. Breaking this belief requires more than intellectual acknowledgement. It requires a genuine reconsideration of what safety actually means in the context of the law of increase. Safety, as the Masters described it, is not the predictability of a particular channel. Safety is the certainty of Source. The person who is safe is not the person whose old job has remained stable. The person who is safe is the person who trusts the infinite, invisible supply to provide through whatever door is open. That trust is not contingent on the door. It is anchored in the Source. And a person whose safety is anchored in Source does not need to guard any particular door, because they know that closed doors are not the end of supply. They are the beginning of redirection. Disrupting this belief also requires honesty about what the old door is actually delivering right now, not what it once delivered, and not what you hope it will deliver again, but what it is genuinely providing in this present moment. Is it carrying increase? Is it growing? Is it aligned with the direction that life is moving in your situation? Or has it simply become familiar enough that the fear of releasing it has been renamed as responsibility? The Master's teaching asks this question clearly and expects an honest answer. Because the person who cannot answer honestly about the old door cannot begin the genuine movement toward the new one. There is something beneath the guarding of old doors that this teaching has not yet fully named. It is more than fear. It is more than habit. It is more than logical risk aversion. It is a specific emotional loyalty that forms between a person and the channel through which they first received meaningful provision. It is the spiritual equivalent of a vow that was never consciously made but has been silently kept ever since. And it is this invisible loyalty that makes old door guarding so persistent, so deep and so resistant to conventional encouragement. Think about the first time an old door truly opened for you. Think about what it felt like when that job first paid you, when that client first chose you, when that strategy first worked, when that particular version of yourself first succeeded through that particular channel. There was something more than relief in that experience. There was a sense of confirmation. The world was saying yes to you. Supply was flowing, the door was open, and in that moment, without conscious intention, something inside you made a quiet agreement. This is how it works for me. This is the door that opens for me. This is my channel. That agreement is not written anywhere. It is not spoken aloud. But it shapes behavior with the power of a binding contract. It causes you to return to that door long after the productive season has passed. It causes you to interpret the closing of that door as a personal rejection rather than a natural completion. It causes you to invest identity in the door itself rather than in the source behind it. And it causes every new door to feel like a betrayal of the agreement you made, unconsciously, in the moment of your first significant provision through the old channel. This invisible agreement is what we will call old door loyalty. And old door loyalty is not defeated by simply deciding to stop caring about the old door. It is not dissolved by reading a new strategy or learning a new skill while the old emotional architecture remains intact. It operates at a level beneath decision and beneath strategy. It operates at the level of identity and inner agreement. And until it is recognized, named and consciously released, it will continue directing your attention, your energy, and your interpretation of new signals back toward the door that Source has already finished using. Later in this teaching, we will reveal exactly how old door loyalty forms, why it feels so much like faithfulness when it is actually fear, and what specific inner practice dissolves it with enough completeness to allow the new money door to become not just visible, but genuinely compelling. This is not a small adjustment. This is a precise spiritual renegotiation of the terms on which you have been receiving supply. And it changes everything about how doors appear in your life from this point forward. What the Masters understood, and what modern prosperity teaching tends to rush past, is that release is a spiritual act with real mechanism. It is not the casual letting go of something that has already stopped mattering. Old door loyalty, by definition, applies only to doors that still feel like they matter, doors that still feel necessary even when they are no longer producing. The release of such a door requires the kind of inner honesty, gratitude, and faith that Wattles described as the foundation of the certain way. It requires more than willingness, it requires understanding. And the understanding begins with seeing, as clearly as the Masters saw, exactly what old door loyalty is doing to your relationship with Source and with invisible supply. There is a moment coming in this teaching that will make a specific thing very clear. It will name the emotional structure of old door loyalty with enough precision that you will recognize it in your own experience, perhaps for the first time. When that moment arrives, you will understand not only what you have been doing, but why you have been doing it, and why the Masters taught that the release of the old door is not a loss. It is the single most powerful act of financial faith a person can take in the moment when visible supply appears to have closed. That moment is coming. Stay with this teaching. Invisible supply does not operate the way visible supply operates. Visible supply is finite, located, and trackable. You can see it, measure it, and predict it with at least some degree of accuracy. Invisible supply operates on entirely different principles. It is unlimited, omnidirectional, and responsive to the inner state of the person receiving it. It can move through any channel. It can create new channels. It can close one opening and create 3 others. It is not bound by what currently exists in your visible field. It is bound only by your capacity to receive through new forms, which is exactly what old door loyalty diminishes. Attention is limited. This is a precise and important truth about how the invisible mechanism interacts with human perception. You have a finite quantity of attention available in any given day. That attention is a spiritual and practical resource. It determines what you notice, what you act on, and what you interpret as opportunity. When that attention is fully absorbed by an old door, a door that you are watching, maintaining, hoping for, analyzing, and returning to repeatedly, there is genuinely less attention available for new signals. The new door does not shout, it opens quietly. And a person whose full attention is locked onto the old door will not hear a quiet opening from the opposite direction. The viewer cannot see new doors while staring at old ones. This is not metaphor. It is a practical description of how attention and perception actually function. When the mind is preoccupied with a specific possibility, it unconsciously filters incoming information through the lens of that preoccupation. The new opportunity that presents itself will be evaluated in relation to the old door. Does it replace it? Does it supplement it? Does it match the familiar shape of what the old door provided? If the answer to any of these questions is no, the mind tends to dismiss or minimize the new signal. Not because the opportunity is genuinely small, but because it does not match the template that old door attention has made dominant in the perception. Energy is also limited in a way that closely parallels attention. The ongoing maintenance of an old door is not free. It requires emotional energy in the form of hope, frustration, grief, and effort. It requires practical energy in the form of continued action directed at a channel that is not producing. It requires conversational energy in the form of explaining, justifying, and revisiting the old door with other people. All of this energy is real, and all of it is consuming reserves that could be directed toward new channels if the old door were genuinely released. This is why people who finally turn away from old doors often report a sudden burst of clarity and creative energy. The energy was always there. It was just occupied. The viewer cannot act on new doors while maintaining dead ones. Even when a person begins to notice a new opening, if the old door is still consuming significant energy, the action available for the new door will be minimal and hesitant. They will investigate the new door with one foot still turned toward the old one. They will approach new opportunities with a portion of their commitment held in reserve for the possibility that the old door might reopen. And this divided commitment creates exactly the kind of hesitant partial action that does not generate full momentum in a new direction. The new door requires the same full commitment the old door once received. Identity is limited in the same way. Your sense of who you are creates a framework through which you interpret what is possible for you. If your identity is built around a specific type of work, a specific income level, a specific professional narrative, or a specific version of how your financial life makes sense, then new doors that fall outside that identity will feel threatening rather than inviting. They will require you to become someone slightly different from who you have been. And the mind that is deeply anchored in old door identity will experience that required becoming as a loss rather than an expansion. The viewer cannot become new while defending old self. New doors require new identity, not the destruction of the old, but the expansion beyond it. Source may close one door deliberately in order to turn the viewer. This is one of the most difficult teachings to receive when you are standing before a door that has just closed, because it requires you to interpret a painful experience as a loving redirection rather than a punishment or an abandonment. But the law of increase is clear. If the source always moves toward more, and if a particular channel has delivered its season of increase and is no longer aligned with the next level of expansion available to you, then the closing of that door is not evidence that the law has failed. It is evidence that the law is operating at a level your current understanding has not yet reached. Closed doors redirect perception. This is the gift hidden inside what feels like deprivation. When a door closes and you are not immediately consumed by the anxiety of its closure, when you can stand in the hallway for even a moment without rushing back to knock on the closed door again, you create the space for redirected perception. Your eyes, your attention, and your awareness begin to move. They begin to scan the hallway. And in that scanning, which only happens when you have genuinely stopped insisting on the old door, you begin to notice things that were always present but invisible to old door attention. The redirect is the gift. The closure is the mechanism of the gift. New doors often begin quietly. They do not announce themselves with the same familiarity that old doors carried. Old doors were familiar precisely because you experienced them opening before. They have an established emotional signature. You know what they feel like. New doors, by their nature, feel different. They feel uncertain. They may arrive as a conversation that seems slightly off-topic, an opportunity that seems slightly outside your area of expertise, a connection that seems slightly unrelated to your current strategy. They are quiet because they are new. And quiet openings require a quality of attentive openness that old door staring actively prevents. New doors require courage. This must be named honestly because courage is not always associated with spiritual prosperity teaching, but it belongs here as centrally as faith and release. Moving toward an unfamiliar opening, one that you cannot fully predict, whose provision you cannot guarantee based on past experience, whose requirements may demand a version of yourself you have not yet fully inhabited, is an act of courage, not recklessness, not forced positivity. Genuine courage, the kind that Wallace Wattles was describing when he spoke about acting in the certain way on every opportunity that presents itself. The person who turns from the old door toward the new one is exercising one of the most powerful forms of spiritual courage available to a human being in financial difficulty. New doors require movement. The person who releases the old door but does not move toward any new opening has performed only half the act. Release without action does not complete the certain way. Wattles was always clear that the inner work of imaging, gratitude, and faith must be accompanied by physical movement toward the nearest open door. You must turn, you must walk, you must engage with the new channel that is presenting itself, even before you fully understand it, even before you can calculate its full potential, and even before it feels as familiar and certain as the old door once did. Movement is the physical language of trust. When you move toward the new door, you are telling Source, with your body, with your effort, and with your time, that you believe the law of increase is still operating on your behalf through this new channel. New doors require all three of these elements working together. Release that does not result in movement is incomplete. Movement that does not come from genuine release is divided, and courage without the foundation of Source certainty becomes its own form of forcing. When release, movement, and the certainty of Source come together in the person who has turned from the old door, the invisible supply that was always available begins flowing through the new channel that their renewed attention and genuine action has made available for delivery. There is a critical distinction that Wattles' teaching makes between the command and the plan. The command is the spiritual declaration that receives increase. It is the clear mental image held with certainty, gratitude, and the unwavering expectation that Source will provide. It is the interior act of alignment with the law of increase. The plan is the visible, tactical strategy by which the person has decided the command will be fulfilled. The command belongs to the certain way. The plan belongs to the visible world. And when the plan becomes attached to a specific old door, the command begins to lose its power. The command at its cleanest sounds like this: I receive increase. It does not say through this particular job. It does not say through this particular client. It does not say through this particular strategy or platform or partnership. It says, I receive increase. And that is the version of the command that the formless substance can fulfill through any channel available. But when the plan narrows the command by insisting on a specific channel, the command becomes conditional. It becomes, I receive increase, but only through this door. And that condition is not a spiritual act. It is a fear act disguised as a plan. The command must survive old door closure. When the old door closes, the command must not collapse with it. This is the test. The person who can stand in the hallway after the old door has closed, hold the clear mental image of increase, with the same certainty they held it when the door was open, and say without revision or reduction that they receive increase through whatever channel Source provides, that person is holding the command in its purest form. The command is not dependent on the root. The command is an act of alignment with the law of increase itself. And the law does not close when a channel closes. The plan must be revised when the channel changes. This is not a failure of the plan. It is the natural and necessary updating of visible world strategy in response to the dynamic movement of invisible supply. Wattles did not say that planning is wrong. He said that the plan must be held lightly enough to be revised when Source moves in a new direction. The person who holds the plan as tightly as they hold the command has confused the route with the destination. Revising the plan when the old door closes is not giving up. It is practicing the intellectual flexibility that the certain way requires when the delivery system of invisible supply changes form. Faith says source remains after the old door closes. Fear says the old door is everything. This is the dividing line between the person who navigates old door closure through genuine spiritual understanding and the person who collapses into old door panic. Faith does not deny the reality of the closed door. It does not pretend the closing is not happening or that the adjustment is not significant. It acknowledges the change with full clarity and then makes the spiritual statement that the change of channel does not alter the reliability of source. Fear, by contrast, interprets the closed door as the end of the story. Fear says if this particular channel closes, there is no other way. Faith says the source is not the channel. The way continues through a new door. The command turns around. This is one of the most beautiful aspects of what Wattles was teaching about the relationship between inner state and outer experience. The command, when held in its pure form, without the plan-level attachment to a specific old door, has a quality of active seeking. It scans, it turns, it aligns with the direction of life's movement rather than insisting on a fixed orientation. A person who holds the pure command of increase and releases the plan-level attachment to the old door will find that their perception begins to rotate naturally toward new channels. Not because they are forcing a new direction, but because the command freed from old door attachment begins to register the signals of new openings that old door attention was masking. Fear keeps knocking. This is the visible behavior of command that has been narrowed by plan attachment to an old door. The person who is still knocking on the closed door is not faithless. They are holding the command. But they have attached it so completely to the old channel that the only expression available to the command is the repetitive, diminishing act of returning to the same closed door with the same request. Their inner state is alive with desire. Their desire is genuine, but the channel they have assigned to their desire has already completed its season, and the knocking becomes less and less an act of faith and more an act of panic dressed in the language of persistence. Command walks toward life. When the command is finally freed from old door attachment, it does not sit still. It moves. It looks at the hallway with new eyes. It asks what is currently open rather than what was once open. It evaluates new opportunities not against the familiar template of the old door, but against the fundamental question: does this carry increase? Does this align with the direction of life? Does this give me the opportunity to act in the certain way, with full engagement, genuine contribution, and the expectation of expansion? When the command walks toward life in this way, it is meeting the law of increase in the only place the law actually operates, in the present, through the channel that is actually open, with the person who is actually available to receive. Fear guards memory. The fearful attachment to the old door is not really about the door at all. It is about the memory of what the door once provided. It is about the emotional experience of that first provision, that first significant opening, that first confirmation that supply could flow into your life through a channel you helped to create. That memory is real, and it is precious. But memory is not a channel. You cannot receive present supply through past experience. You cannot live on what the old door once delivered. The memory of the old door's season of increase is something to honor with gratitude and then release with faith. It was real. It served its purpose. And now the source which created that opening once is fully capable of creating a new one. The command versus the plan distinction ultimately comes down to this: are you willing to receive increase without specifying the exact door it must come through? Are you willing to hold the image of expansion and trust that the infinite supply knows a route you cannot yet see? Are you willing to revise the plan when the channel changes, while keeping the command completely intact? Because the command never changes. Increase is the command. The plan changes with the season, and when the plan is held with the same flexibility that the formless substance moves with, the command and the supply find new form together through a door that your old door loyalty would have made you unable to see. If this teaching is helping you recognize an old door in your life, if something in what you have been hearing is beginning to clarify the invisible loyalty that has been keeping you facing a closed hallway, then this channel exists for exactly the purpose you are experiencing right now. The Master's legacy is built to preserve and interpret the teachings of Wallace Wattles, James Allen, Florence Scovel Shinn, and the other masters of spiritual prosperity lore. Every teaching on this channel is designed to give you what the Masters actually understood about source, invisible supply, inner command, and the laws that govern genuine increase. Subscribe to the Master's legacy now, because these teachings continue, and each one goes deeper than the last. The Masters did not write for a casual audience. They wrote for people who were willing to examine their own inner world with enough honesty to change it. If that is you, this channel is your companion. Each teaching builds on the one before it. Each law revealed here connects to a larger architecture of understanding that over time transforms not just your financial situation, but your entire relationship with source, with increase, and with the invisible mechanism through which all genuine wealth enters visible form. Subscribe and let the teaching continue beyond this one video. The mind is an extraordinarily capable instrument. It can analyze, compare, sequence, predict, and strategize with remarkable sophistication. But there is one thing the mind cannot do, and it is the one thing old door attachment asks it to do constantly. Calculate a guaranteed route from the current closed door to the next open one. The mind cannot see the full network of invisible supply channels. It cannot see which new connection will generate what new opportunity. It cannot trace the path from its current position to the next form of provision with certainty. And because it cannot calculate this route, it retreats to what it already knows. It retreats to the old door, which at least has a history of being calculable. The old door feels safer because the mind has already suffered there. This is precisely true. The old door is a known terrain of difficulty. The mind has encountered its obstacles, survived its uncertainties, and built its strategies around its specific demands. When the mind returns to the old door, even after it has closed, there is a paradoxical sense of competence that comes with the return. At least here, the mind knows what kind of suffering to expect. The unknown of the new door is genuinely more frightening to the calculating mind because the new door has not yet been suffered through and survived. The mind has no evidence of its own competence in that unfamiliar territory. The new door feels uncertain because the mind has not yet survived there. And this is exactly the teaching that must be understood without rushing past it. The mind's preference for the old door is not irrational. It is the perfectly rational response of an instrument built for calculation and pattern recognition, encountering a situation in which the patterns are not yet established. But Source does not communicate through calculation. Source communicates through the clear mental image, through faith, through the quiet signal of new openings, through the closed door that turns the person toward a better hallway. The mind's inability to calculate the new route is not a deficiency. It is the precise point at which faith takes over from strategy. When Wattles wrote about the certain way, he was not providing a calculation. He was providing an orientation. He was saying, hold the clear image, move in the direction of increase, act on every door that opens, and trust the source to manage the route. This is not a formula the calculating mind can fully execute. It requires a quality of trust that exceeds calculation, a willingness to act before certainty is established, and a faith that the invisible supply knows a path the visible mind cannot see. The person who waits for the calculating mind to produce a guaranteed route from the old door to the new one will wait indefinitely because the guarantee that the mind demands is not the kind of guarantee the law of increase provides. The law of increase does not provide certainty about the route. It provides certainty about the source. That is the distinction the old door mind consistently collapses. It translates the certainty of source into a demand for certainty of channel, and when the channel cannot be guaranteed, it concludes that the source is unreliable. But source is not the channel. The source is certain. The route is dynamic. And the dynamic route requires a person who can move with it, which is exactly what old door attachment prevents. Release the need to calculate the how and replace it with the certainty of the what. The what is the clear mental image, increase, expansion, new provision, a new money door opening. Hold that image with the full weight of the certain way, with gratitude for what the old door provided, with faith that the formless substance knows more routes than the calculating mind can access, and with the genuine willingness to act when the new door begins to open. That is not blind trust. That is the most sophisticated understanding of how invisible supply actually works. The source sees the entire hallway. You need only take the next step. Imagine a hallway. It is long and quiet, and it has several doors. You have been standing in this hallway for a long time, and for most of that time, one specific door has been the door you watched. It was the door that once opened. It was the door through which real things arrived, real provision, real confirmation, real evidence that supply was flowing in your direction. You remember exactly how it felt when that door first moved. You remember the sound of it. You remember what came through it, and you have been standing in front of it ever since. Now the door is closed. It has been closed for longer than you want to admit. You have knocked on it at specific times that once worked. You have tried the particular combination of effort and patience that once produced results. You have spoken to the people on the other side of it. You have updated your approach while keeping the fundamental posture the same. You are standing before this door, facing it, waiting for it to open. And it does not open, because the door that once carried your season of provision has completed its season. The supply it was designed to deliver has been delivered. The channel has served its function. Behind you, another door has opened. This is not a dramatic event. It does not announce itself loudly. It opens quietly, the way new doors tend to open, because new doors have not yet earned the emotional volume of familiar ones. It opens with a gentle movement, a subtle shift in the air of the hallway, a quiet availability that requires the kind of attention you can only offer if you have stopped staring at the old door long enough to sense what is happening behind you. But you are still facing the old door. You are still knocking. You do not hear the new door open. You do not feel the change in the air of the hallway, because the old door has all of your attention. You keep knocking. Each knock is a repetition of the request you have made many times before, through the same channel, in the same voice, with the same expectations. The knocking is not lazy, it is full of real desire, real need, and real effort. But the door does not respond, because the door is not the source. It was a channel, and the channel has closed. And behind you, the new door stands open, waiting, carrying real supply, real provision, real increase that source has prepared and positioned for exactly this moment in your life. But you cannot see it because you have not yet turned around. You call the hallway empty. This is the conclusion you arrive at when the old door stays closed long enough and the knocking produces nothing. You interpret the silence of the old door as the silence of all doors. You conclude that there is no supply available, that source has not provided, that the law of increase does not apply to your situation. The hallway is empty. There is nothing here. This is the spiritual diagnosis that old door attachment produces when it has gone on long enough. Not just the false belief that the old door is the only door, but the further false belief that the closed old door means all doors are closed. The hallway is not empty. You are facing the wrong direction. Release turns the body. This is the mechanism by which the new door becomes visible. It is not a complex spiritual formula. It is a physical and attentional turning, a genuine reorientation from the old door toward the rest of the hallway. When you release the old door, not in the partial way of someone who is still checking over their shoulder, but in the complete and honest way of someone who has genuinely honored it, thanked it, and acknowledged that its season has passed, you physically and perceptually turn. Your attention moves, your energy shifts, and the hallway, which you called empty, suddenly contains something it always contained, but that old door attention made invisible to you, the open door. Turning reveals the new money door. It was always there. It did not appear because you released the old door. It became visible because releasing the old door freed your attention to perceive it. The new money door is not a reward for letting go. It is a reality that was always present in the hallway of your life, waiting for the moment when you would stop using all of your perceptual resources to watch a door that had already closed. The release is the turning. The turning is the seeing. And the seeing is the beginning of action that moves toward the new channel through which source has been ready to deliver. The old door is not where the supply is anymore. This is the clearest way to say it. You can stand before it for another year. You can knock with increasing desperation or decreasing hope. You can analyze why it closed and search for the perfect combination that will reopen it. You can maintain your loyalty and your effort and your patient waiting. and the supply will not come through it because the supply has already moved. It has moved to a new channel. It is already waiting at a new door. And the only thing required for you to receive it is the act of turning around to see where Source has placed the opening this time. The hallway is always alive. This is the final truth of the delivery system analogy, and it is the truth that makes the release of the old door not a loss, but an opening of perception. The hallway does not become a dead space when one door closes. The Source is always operating in the hallway. New doors are always appearing. The supply is always seeking a channel through which to reach you. But the hallway only reveals its alive quality to the person who is genuinely available to receive from it, not fixed on a single point, not consumed by one closed channel, but open, attentive, and willing to be surprised by the direction from which provision actually arrives. The delivery has already been sent. This is the Wattles understanding expressed through the hallway. The formless substance responding to your clear mental image of increase has already set supply in motion. It is not withholding from you while you figure out the old door. It is moving toward you through the best available channel. And the best available channel right now is not the one you have been watching. It is the one behind you, the one that opened quietly while you were still knocking, the one whose existence you will only confirm the moment you are willing to turn around and receive through it. Every behavior that maintains the old door interferes with the delivery that Source has already sent through the new one. The interference is not malicious. It is not even conscious in most cases. It is simply the natural result of directing your available energy, attention, and identity toward a channel that is no longer carrying supply, while the channel that is carrying supply goes unengaged. Understanding how interference works in practice makes the release of old door behaviors not just spiritually meaningful, but practically urgent. Staying in dead work is one of the clearest forms of interference. When a person continues giving their primary time, energy, and professional identity to work that has stopped growing, that has stopped carrying increase, that has reached its ceiling and remains there, they are not simply being cautious. They are actively blocking the receiving faculty that could be engaged with new work. The energy required to maintain dead work is real. The attention consumed by it is real. And as long as that energy and attention are fully occupied, the new form of work that Source is preparing cannot receive a full and genuine engagement from the person it is being sent to. Keeping an expired offer is another form of interference that many people carry without recognizing it as a blockage. An offer that once served an audience and generated provision, but has lost its resonance, its relevance, or its alignment with where that audience has moved, is an old door in the form of a product or service. Continuing to lead with it, to invest marketing energy in it, and to make it the primary vehicle of your financial expression in a market that has changed, is not persistence. It is attachment to a familiar form of provision that Source may have already finished using as your primary channel. Repeating a failed strategy because it once worked is perhaps the most intellectually sophisticated form of old door maintenance. The strategy worked in a previous context. The logic of it is known, the execution is practiced, and so the mind argues that with sufficient refinement, the strategy will work again. But when the market has changed, when the audience has moved, when the conditions that made the strategy effective in its original season no longer exist, refinement does not restore effectiveness. It only increases the cost of maintaining an expired approach while new approaches wait unengaged. Depending on a single person as the channel through which all significant provision flows is one of the most vulnerable forms of old door attachment. When one client, one employer, one partner, or one relationship becomes the primary visible source of income, and when the health of that relationship begins to decline, the entire financial structure built around it begins to feel threatened, and the instinct of old door loyalty is to preserve that single channel at almost any cost, because the mind has calculated all supply through that one relationship and cannot imagine provision arriving any other way. This is exactly the channel as source confusion that Wattles warned against. Waiting for an old client to return is a specific and painful form of interference because it involves real relationship history, real past provision, and real emotional investment in a channel that once worked. The waiting posture itself is the problem, not the hope, but the waiting. The decision to hold the receiving position fixed toward the old client, while new relationships, new audiences, and new forms of collaboration present themselves and receive only the divided attention of someone who is still primarily oriented toward a client who has moved on. Refusing a new platform because the old one was once familiar enough to work is an interference that many people rationalize as wisdom. They know the old platform, that they have an established presence there. They understand its dynamics, and the new platform feels unfamiliar, requires learning, and cannot guarantee the same level of provision the old one once delivered in its peak season. But when the old platform is no longer carrying increase and the new one is generating energy in the market, the refusal to engage is not wisdom. It is old door loyalty, applied to the technology of provision. Protecting an old identity is one of the deepest forms of interference because identity is not just a belief. It is a filter through which all experience is processed. When your identity says you are a person who succeeds through a particular kind of work, a particular kind of relationship with money, or a particular version of professional or creative expression, every new door that falls outside that identity will feel like a threat to who you are. The identity becomes a closed door in itself, screening out the new forms of provision that Source is offering because they do not match the template of the old self that the person is still maintaining. Rejecting a new skill because the old expertise was earned through years of effort is the final form of interference worth naming here. The old expertise is real. The years invested are real. The competence is real. And the new skill required by the new door may feel like a demotion, a return to beginner status, a humbling that the old identity resists. But Wattles is teaching about acting in the certain way on every opportunity that presents itself includes the opportunity to learn, to expand, and to become someone whose skills are aligned with the doors that are currently open rather than the doors that were once open. Rejecting the new skill to preserve the old expertise is choosing the past over the increase that Source is offering in the present. There is a freedom available on the other side of old door release that is difficult to describe to someone who is still in the middle of old door attachment. It is the freedom of not needing to track the delivery. When you have genuinely released the old door, when you have turned your attention and your energy toward the hallway with real openness, you no longer need to calculate exactly how the provision will arrive. You are free to act, to engage, to explore, and to receive, without the exhausting work of monitoring a specific channel for specific signs of specific movement. This freedom is not passivity. It is the active, receptive, forward-moving quality of a person who trusts the Source to manage the route. Not every door is meant to reopen. This is the teaching that old door loyalty resists most deeply because it requires the acceptance of a completion that the fearful mind interprets as permanent loss. But the completion of a season is not the destruction of the supply. The supply is not inside the door. The supply is in the Source behind every door. When a door completes its season and does not reopen, the supply it once carried does not disappear. It relocates, it redirects, it finds a new form through which to reach you if you are available to receive it through a new channel. Not every door is meant to reopen is not a statement of loss. It is a statement of the law of increase in its most honest form. Some doors close because the hallway is redirecting you. This is the spiritual reading of closed door experience that transforms the experience from abandonment to navigation. When the door closes and you do not immediately see another one, the temptation is to conclude that the hallway has ended, that there is no more provision, that the Source has stopped moving in your direction. But the redirecting hallway does not end. It turns. It presents a new angle of approach. It reveals doors that were always present but invisible to old door attention. The closed door is the turning mechanism. It is not the end of the supply. It is the beginning of a new direction of flow. You do not need to resurrect what Source has already replaced. This may be the single sentence in this entire teaching that most directly addresses the exhausting and ultimately self-defeating effort of old door maintenance. The resurrection of an expired channel is not a spiritual achievement. It is not a demonstration of faith. It is not proof of commitment to the law of increase. It is the expenditure of real energy on a form that Source has already superseded with something better. The resurrection effort takes from the same reserves that new door engagement requires. And every unit of energy invested in reviving what source has replaced is a unit of energy unavailable for receiving what source has already prepared. The freedom of the new door is not just freedom from the old channel. It is freedom from the exhausting vigilance of old door maintenance. When you release the old door and turn toward the hallway with genuine openness, you are no longer required to monitor, interpret, and manage a closed channel. Your energy returns to you. Your attention broadens. Your creativity reactivates. Your perception begins to register signals that old door attention was filtering out. This is not a metaphor for a feeling of relief. It is a practical description of what happens to the inner resources of a person when the consuming occupation of old door maintenance finally ends and those resources become available for genuine new door engagement. The source is not rationing supply because the old door closed. This is the deepest freedom of the new door orientation, the understanding that the closing of the old channel was not a reduction of what source is willing to provide. The supply is not smaller because the door has changed. The formless substance does not diminish when a channel is retired. What is available to you through the new door that source has opened is not a consolation prize or a lesser form of provision. It is increase, the same law of increase that once operated through the old door, now operating through a new channel that is aligned with the current direction of your expansion. The new door can be received with the same gratitude and certainty you once brought to the old one. This is the final freedom. When you have genuinely turned, when you have genuinely released, when you have genuinely opened your perception and your energy to the new channel that source has placed in your path, you bring to it the full weight of your faith, your gratitude, your clear mental image, and your expectation of increase. Not the divided attention of someone still grieving the old door, not the hesitant engagement of someone who is not sure this new door is the real thing. The full committed certain way engagement of a person who understands that source is behind this new door exactly as source was behind the old one. The supply has not changed. The channel has. And with the channel change comes the freedom to receive increase in a new form through a new door from the same infinite source that has been providing all along. The first step of the practical protocol is the most foundational. You must define what you actually desire, and you must define it independently of the old door. This sounds straightforward, but it is significantly more difficult than it appears, because most people's desire has become so entangled with the specific channel through which they expect it to arrive that they cannot easily separate the desire from the door. Ask yourself honestly, what is the increase I actually want? Not the job I want to keep, not the client I want to return, not the strategy I want to work again. What is the underlying desire that those things were serving? What does the increase actually look like when it is described without reference to a specific channel? This question requires the kind of honest inner examination that Wattles described as essential to holding a clear mental image. What increase do I desire? This is the beginning of the certain way, not how will the increase arrive, not through which specific door will it come, but what is the nature of the increase I am seeking? What does financial expansion feel like for me? What does genuine provision produce in my life? What is the real desire beneath the old door attachment? When you can answer this question clearly and without immediately filling in the old door as the answer, you have taken the first practical step of the protocol. What old door have I made responsible for that increase? This is the second question, and it requires a specific and honest naming. Not a general acknowledgement that you have been attached to old channels, but a precise identification of which specific door you have assigned the responsibility for delivering your desire. Is it the job that has stopped growing? Is it the client who has gone quiet? Is it the business model that has lost relevance? Is it the relationship that once provided security? Is it the identity around which your financial expectations have been built? Name it, not to shame it, but to see it clearly enough to distinguish it from source. What result do I want that could come another way? This is the question that begins to dissolve old door attachment by reintroducing the multiplicity of channels. If the old door were to remain closed permanently, and if source were to deliver the same increase through an entirely different channel, would the increase still be real? Of course it would. The increase is the increase, the channel is the channel, and the same financial expansion, the same provision, The same sense of security and growth that you have been seeking through the old door is equally real when it arrives through a channel you have not yet encountered. Holding this question with genuine openness begins to loosen the grip of the old door plan on the purity of the command. What identity is tied to the old door? This is perhaps the most searching question of the protocol because it gets beneath the financial layer to the identity layer, where the deepest old door attachment operates. Who are you in relation to the old door? Are you the person whose worth is measured by a specific professional achievement? Are you the person whose financial story depends on a particular channel continuing to provide? Are you the person who has told a story about their financial life for long enough that revising the story feels like losing the narrator? Name the identity that the old door is supporting, because when you can see it, you can begin to distinguish between the identity and the source, between who you have been through the old door and who the law of increase is calling you to become. What would I do if I genuinely trusted that new doors open? This final question of the defining the what step is the most practically revealing, because the answer to this question usually contains a specific new direction that the person has been aware of but has not allowed themselves to fully engage, precisely because old door loyalty has consumed the energy, attention, and identity that new door engagement would require. What would I do differently tomorrow if I believed that Source can open a new money door for me right now? What new channel would I begin to explore? What new skill would I commit to learning? What new offer would I bring to a new audience? What new relationship would I begin to build? The answer to this question is the practical beginning of the new door. And it begins with the willingness to ask. Defining the what also requires a willingness to hold the desired increase without immediately attaching it to a root. This is the mental image practice that Wattles described with such precision. The image is the increase itself, more provision, greater expansion, a new channel of genuine supply, a financial opening that carries the quality of increase. The image is not the job, the image is not the client, the image is not the specific strategy. Those are routes. The image is the destination, and the destination can be reached by more routes than the calculating mind can envision at any given time. Hold the destination clearly, release the route, and allow the protocol to continue revealing the practical steps by which the new door becomes available. The what must also be held with genuine gratitude for the old door's season of service. This is not a sentimental addition to the protocol, it is a functional requirement, because the person who defines their new desire in the shadow of resentment toward the old door is carrying a frequency of grievance that distorts the clear mental image. Gratitude clears the image. It creates the inner spaciousness from which new doors are most clearly perceived. So as you define the what, bring gratitude for what the old door provided. Let the defining of the new desire be an act of expansion beyond the old, not a rejection of it. The new desire carries the provision of the old door forward into a larger form. That is the nature of increase. It does not erase the past, it expands beyond it. The what is the spiritual anchor of the entire protocol. When the plan becomes confused, when the new door feels uncertain, when the old door habit attempts to reassert itself, you return to the what. You return to the clear image of the increase you desire, held with certainty and gratitude, independent of any specific channel. This is the mental command that Wallace Wattles described as the beginning of all genuine supply. It is the signal you are sending to the formless substance. It is the orientation of your entire inner life. And it must be defined clearly enough, honestly enough, and purely enough that it can survive the disorientation of old door closure and the unfamiliarity of new door opening without collapsing back into the fear-driven specificity of the old plan. Every great financial opening in every person's life that the masters would recognize as genuine increase began with a clear definition of the what, held independently of the root. Not a specific job, but meaningful work with genuine compensation. Not a specific client, but a real relationship of value exchange with a person or group who genuinely needs what you carry. Not a specific strategy, but the consistent application of genuine effort and creativity in the direction of a need that the market is expressing. The what defines the kind of increase. The source determines the channel. And the protocol is the practical act of cooperating with the source's choice of channel, rather than insisting on the one that has already closed. Hold the what with the full weight of the certain way, gratitude that it is coming, certainty that the law operates, expectation that source knows a route your calculating mind cannot trace, and genuine openness to receiving it through a door that may look nothing like the old one. This is the first step. The what is defined. The channel is released. The protocol continues. The second step of the practical protocol is the act of release. And release is not a feeling. It is a practice. It requires specific, conscious, deliberate actions taken in sequence, each one designed to disengage the old door attachment at a different level of the psyche. The first action of release is the naming. Name the old door directly, not a category or a general description. The specific door that you have been guarding. The specific job, client, strategy, identity, or belief that has been holding your receiving position fixed in a direction that is no longer carrying increase. Name it aloud if possible. Name it in writing. Name it to yourself in the quiet of honest self-examination, because you cannot release what you have not named. And the old door that remains unnamed is the old door that continues operating as an unconscious governor of your energy, attention, and financial perception. Thank it. This is the second action of release, and it is not optional. The gratitude for what the old door provided is not a courtesy. It is the spiritual mechanism that transforms the closing of the channel from an experience of loss into an experience of completion. The old door provided real supply in a real season of your life. It carried real provision. It was a genuine channel of the formless substance. Thank it for that. Thank it for the specific provision it delivered. Thank it for the lessons it carried alongside the supply. Thank it for being the door that proved the law of increase was real in your experience. This gratitude is not sentimental. It is the act that cleans the inner field so that new channels can be perceived without the distortion of resentment or grief. Admit whether the old door still carries increase. This is the most honest moment of the release practice, and the one most people tend to bypass. Not whether the door could theoretically carry increase again. Not whether it carried increase in the past, but whether it is genuinely carrying increase right now. Is this channel growing? Is it expanding? Is it producing new provision in the direction of your desired increase? If the honest answer is no, or if the answer requires elaborate qualification to reach anything resembling yes, then the admission of that truth is the next act of release. You do not need to make the old door wrong. You only need to see it clearly. Clearly enough to say, this door is not currently carrying the increase I need. Say, this door is not my source. Say it with the full weight of what it means, not as a dismissal of what the door once provided, not as a declaration that channels are unimportant, but as the precise, liberating, spiritually accurate statement that the formless substance is behind this door, not inside it. The door was a vehicle. Source is the supply. And the supply does not end when the vehicle changes form. Say it again. This door is not my source. Let that sentence do what it is designed to do. Disengage the identity-level attachment that has been giving the old channel power it was never meant to hold. Turn toward new signals. This is the active component of release, the moment where the inner practice of naming, thanking, admitting, and declaring becomes outward movement. To turn toward new signals means to deliberately begin extending your attention, your curiosity, and your exploratory energy in new directions, not with the desperation of someone who is fleeing the old door in panic, with the calm, deliberate, expectant attention of a person who believes that Source has already placed new openings in the hallway and that those openings will become visible to the person who is genuinely looking for them. Turn toward what is new, not what is safe, not what is familiar, what is genuinely new, currently open, and aligned with the direction of increase. The turning must be genuine. This is the distinction between real release and performed release. Performed release says, I release the old door, and then continues to check whether the old door has reopened every few days. Performed release maintains the old door posture in private while displaying new door orientation in public. Genuine release turns with the whole self, with the attention, with the energy, with the identity, and with the receiving posture. It does not require certainty about what the new door will bring. It requires only the honest willingness to receive through a new channel that Source is currently opening, rather than insisting on a channel that Source has already closed. The release practice also involves releasing the spoken declarations that have been keeping the old door active. If you have been speaking about the old channel as though it is still the primary vehicle of your provision, if you have been describing your financial life in terms that are defined by the old door, if your conversations, prayers, or inner monologue have been centered on reviving the expired channel, then those spoken words have been functioning as orders placed with the formless substance, orders that insist on provision through a specific channel that is no longer open. Changing the spoken order is part of the release. Speak increase without specifying the door. Speak provision without specifying the channel. Speak the what, and let Source determine the how. Releasing the how does not mean releasing the responsibility to act. This is the balance that Wattles maintained, and that must be maintained here. Releasing the old door plan does not mean stopping all practical engagement with the real world. It means stopping the engagement with the specific behaviors, strategies, and investments of energy that are maintaining a closed channel rather than opening a new one. You are not releasing effort. You are redirecting effort. You are not releasing responsibility. You are releasing the specific plan that has attached your responsibility to an expired channel. The effort remains. The responsibility remains. The direction changes. The most powerful moment of release comes when you can hold the image of increase and genuinely feel that the channel through which it arrives is not your decision. When you can say, with real inner quiet, Source knows the door, and I release the insistence on the old one, the command becomes pure again. It is no longer attached to a specific plan. It is aligned with the law, and the law, freed from the narrowing constraint of old door insistence, can now move supply through the channel that is actually open, that is actually aligned with the current direction of your life, and that is actually capable of delivering the increase that the formless substance has been trying to send your way all along. After release comes the practice of expecting surprise, and this practice is more demanding than it sounds. To expect surprise from the direction of new supply is to hold the receiving position genuinely open rather than narrowed to a pre-approved shape of provision. It means being willing to receive from a completely different client, one you have not met yet, one who operates in a different industry or context or market than the one you have been working in. It means being available to a form of provision that currently feels unfamiliar and therefore slightly uncertain to the calculating mind. But that carries genuine increase when engaged with the full commitment of the certain way. New supply can arrive through an entirely different business model than the one you have built your financial identity around. The person who has always exchanged time for compensation might receive the beginning of a new form of provision through a different structure altogether. The person who has always worked within an institutional context might receive the signal to step into something more independent. The person who has built one kind of business might find that a fundamentally different architecture of value creation is what Source is currently directing them toward. Expect this. Do not require the new door to look like the old one. A new audience may be the channel. The people who need what you carry may not be the people you have been serving through the old door. They may be in a different market segment, a different demographic, a different context entirely. Expecting surprise means holding the possibility that your offer, your knowledge, your skill, or your service may carry genuine increase into a new community of people who have not yet found you through the old channel. Source can open an entirely new audience as the channel of provision, and it often does precisely when the old audience has shifted in ways that have reduced the old channel's productivity. A new offer may be required. This does not mean abandoning what you know or dismissing the real expertise you have built through your years of old door engagement. It may mean packaging that expertise differently, presenting it in a new form, applying it to a new problem, combining it with something new that you are currently learning. The new offer is not a betrayal of the old expertise. It is the natural evolution of genuine skill meeting a current need through an open channel. Expecting surprise in the form of a new offer means staying open to the possibility that the increase you desire can flow through a version of your contribution that you have not yet designed. New collaboration may be the unexpected channel. A partnership, a joint venture, a professional relationship with someone whose work complements yours in a way that neither of you could produce alone. These collaborations often present themselves during the very period when old door closure is most acute, because the closing of one channel tends to increase the visibility of connections and relationships that were previously in the peripheral vision of old door attention. Expect the collaboration you have not yet imagined. Stay open to professional relationships that do not immediately fit the old template of how your work has been supported. A new platform may carry the supply. The visible world changes its platforms, its channels of distribution, its methods of connecting the person who carries value with the person who needs it. Old door attachment often extends to the specific platform or mechanism through which work has been presented or provision has been received. But source is not platform-specific. The formless substance can flow through any channel of genuine exchange. Expecting surprise means being willing to learn, to adapt, and to operate within a new platform even before you feel fully competent in it, because the new door may be opening through exactly the channel your old door loyalty has been dismissing as unsuitable for someone with your history. A new form of service may be what the hallway is offering, not just a new packaging of old service, a genuinely new form of how you serve, how you contribute, how you create value in exchange for provision. This may require learning you have been postponing. It may require a humbling of the old expertise identity to make room for beginner energy in a new direction. But if the new form of service is genuinely aligned with the direction of increase that source is moving in your situation, then the temporary discomfort of new skill learning is not a price. It is the action step of the certain way applied to the currently open door. Expecting surprise also means releasing the unconscious veto. Most people in old door attachment have developed an unconscious habit of quickly vetoing new door signals because they do not match the familiar shape of provision. The veto happens fast, before the person even consciously processes the new signal. Something appears that could be a new channel, a conversation, an opportunity, a contact, and the old door mind dismisses it almost instantly because it is not the right industry, not the right kind of client, not the right kind of work, not the right kind of provision. This unconscious veto is one of the most effective ways that old door loyalty maintains itself, even after a person believes they have released it. Expecting surprise requires a conscious slowing of the veto, a deliberate holding open of new signals long enough to examine them through the lens of increase rather than the lens of familiarity. New doors often arrive before they are fully formed. This is the final aspect of expecting surprise that the practical protocol must include. The new door is not always immediately legible as a complete provision channel. It often arrives as a beginning, a conversation that could develop, an opportunity that requires some development before it carries full provision, a connection that needs time before it becomes a genuine supply channel. Expecting surprise means being willing to act on doors that are still opening, not waiting for them to be fully open before engaging with them. Because the person who waits for complete certainty before acting on a new door will often find that the door has moved on to someone who was willing to engage with the opening as it was appearing. The fourth step of the practical protocol is action, and the action is specific. Walk through the nearest door. Not the perfect door, not the door that most closely resembles the old one, not the door that feels most certain, or most familiar, or most aligned with the old plan. The nearest door, the one that is currently open, the one that requires movement in a direction that is different from old door staring. Wattles was clear that the certain way requires action on every opportunity that presents itself, and the first opportunity that presents itself after genuine old door release is always the nearest open door in the hallway. Stop one old door behavior. This is the first specific action of walking through the nearest door. You do not need to immediately stop all old door maintenance, but you can stop one specific behavior that is keeping you anchored to the expired channel. Stop the daily check of the old door to see if it has reopened. Stop the investment of time in a strategy that has clearly stopped producing. Stop the conversation that centers your financial story on a channel that has closed. One behavior, one concrete change in the direction of your daily effort. This is the physical signal you are sending to source, with your body and your time and your energy, that you are genuinely turning toward the new hallway. Test one new channel. Do not wait until you fully understand the new channel before beginning to engage with it. The certain way does not require complete information before action. It requires the willingness to move toward what is currently open. Test one new channel, a new audience, a new platform, a new offer structure, a new professional relationship, a new form of service. Test it not with the consuming commitment you once brought to the old door, but with genuine engagement and real effort. Enough engagement to determine whether this channel carries increase. Enough effort to actually move through the door rather than just looking at it from a distance. Update the offer. If the old offer has been the vehicle of old door attachment, a specific product or service whose relevance has diminished, the act of updating it is one of the most tangible forms of walking through the nearest open door. An updated offer is not a repudiation of the old one. It is the natural evolution of real expertise meeting a current need. It is the act of saying, in the practical language of commerce, I am available to serve in the form that is currently needed, not only in the form that was once needed. Updating the offer turns the service itself toward the open door. Contact a new person. Not to immediately convert them into a new channel of provision, but to begin the relational engagement that often precedes new supply. A new connection in a new direction. A conversation with someone operating in a context that your old door attention would have dismissed as unrelated. An introduction, an inquiry, an honest expression of what you carry and what you are currently seeking. The new contact is not a replacement for the old relationship. It is the first step of building a new relational landscape around the open hallway rather than the closed door. Learn a new skill. If the nearest open door requires a capability you do not currently possess, the act of beginning to acquire that capability is an act of walking through the door before it is fully accessible. It is the declaration that you trust the direction enough to invest in becoming the person the new door requires. Learning the new skill is not a detour from the practical protocol. It is the practical protocol expressing itself in the most forward-looking way available by investing in the version of yourself that the new channel needs. Release one expired obligation. Old door maintenance often involves a specific set of obligations, commitments, and responsibilities that consume time and energy that could be redirected toward new channels. Releasing one such obligation, with honesty and appropriate care for any real-world responsibilities involved, creates a unit of available energy that can immediately be directed toward the new door. Not all old obligations can be instantly released, but most people who examine their obligations honestly will find at least one that exists primarily to maintain the old channel rather than to serve a genuine, ongoing purpose. Say yes to a new opening. When a new door presents itself, and it will present itself to the person who has genuinely turned toward the hallway, say yes before you have fully calculated all possible outcomes. Not recklessly, not without discernment, but with the genuine willingness of the certain way applied to a currently open door. The yes does not require certainty. It requires only the faith that Source is behind this new door, exactly as Source was behind the old one, and that the increase available through this new channel is real, regardless of how different it looks from the provision you have previously known. Stop begging the old door. This is the final action of the walkthrough step, and it is the one that most directly embodies the entire protocol. Stop knocking. Stop waiting. Stop revising the approach in hopes of producing a different result from a channel that has completed its season. Stop investing the primary energy of your daily effort in the revival of something that the law of increase has already moved beyond. Stop begging the old door and use the energy of that ceasing to walk with full commitment and genuine faith through the nearest door that Source has already opened in your hallway. That is the certain way. That is how the new money door is entered. The most powerful enemy of the new door is not lack of opportunity. It is the false safety of the old door. This false safety is one of the most sophisticated traps the fear-governed mind produces because it does not feel like fear. It feels like prudence, it feels like wisdom, it feels like the responsible, adult, experience-informed version of financial decision-making. But beneath the responsible surface It is the same old door attachment operating under a new name. Known lack feels safer than unknown increase. This is the foundational equation of the false safety trap, and it overturns the natural direction of life so subtly that most people do not notice it is happening. Known pain feels manageable. This is not a flaw in the human psyche. It is a natural result of survival experience. The mind that has learned to survive in a specific form of financial difficulty has developed genuine competence at survival there. It knows the shape of the pain. It knows how to endure it. It has found 1,000 small strategies for managing it. And that competence, as perverse as it sounds, creates a very real psychological attachment to the known difficulty. The unknown increase, by contrast, brings a form of anxiety that the mind interprets as danger, because it has not yet developed the competence for navigating in that unfamiliar territory. New doors require courage in a way that old doors, even painful old doors, do not. The old door has been survived before. The survival template exists. The new door is genuinely uncertain. It may require a period of learning before it produces full provision. It may require a transitional phase in which the old provision is diminishing, and the new provision has not yet reached its full expression. This transitional uncertainty is the specific form of risk that the false safety trap exploits. The mind looks at the transition and says, the old door, painful as it is survivable. The new door is uncertain, and uncertainty is called danger. Old doors preserve identity in a way that makes the false safety trap particularly resistant. When your identity is structured around the old channel, leaving it does not feel like releasing a job or a strategy. It feels like losing yourself. The false safety trap does not only protect the financial channel, it protects the self that was built around it. The job title, the professional narrative, the story of who you are in the world of work and money and provision, all of these things are tied to the old door in ways that make the release feel like self-erasure rather than self-expansion. And the mind, which has a deep instinct for self-preservation, will resist what it interprets as self-erasure with enormous force. New doors demand becoming. This is the demand that the false safety trap most deeply resists. Becoming means that the person who walks through the new door will be slightly different on the other side of it than they were before they entered it. They will have learned something. They will have proven something to themselves. They will have expanded beyond the old identity in ways that are real and cannot be undone. And while this becoming is the very thing that the law of increase calls forth, it is also the thing that the false safety trap identifies as the most dangerous aspect of the new door. Because becoming means leaving behind the old self that the old door was protecting. And the old self, however limited, is at least a known quantity. Fear calls old loyalty wisdom. This is the language the false safety trap uses when it is most sophisticated. It does not say, I am afraid of the new door. It says, I have learned through experience that consistency and commitment are important. It says, leaving an established channel is rash. It says, the new door is untested and the old one has history. It dresses the fear in the language of practicality and calls the courage to turn around impulsive, naive, or ungrateful. Fear calls old loyalty wisdom, and the person who cannot distinguish between genuine wisdom and fear, disguised as wisdom, will remain in the trap indefinitely. Source calls the viewer forward. This is the counter-signal to the false safety trap, and it is persistently present even when the trap is most active. The law of increase calls forward, life calls forward. The formless substance, always seeking more, always expanding into new forms, is always generating the signal of the open door for the person who has genuinely turned toward the hallway. Source does not call backward. Source does not call the viewer to preserve an expired channel. Source calls forward, toward increase, toward new forms of provision, toward the becoming that new doors require. Learning to hear the source signal above the fear signal is the primary skill of the person navigating old door transition. Increase requires movement. This is the law in its simplest and most demanding form. You cannot receive increase while remaining stationary before a closed door. You cannot expand into new provision while all of your resources are committed to maintaining an expired channel. Movement is the physical expression of faith in the law of increase. And the false safety trap is, at its core, the trap of permanent stasis dressed as responsible caution. It stops movement, it anchors the person in place, and the law of increase cannot flow through a person who has been made stationary by the false security of what they already know. Increase requires movement. The false safety trap stops it. And the first act of escaping the trap is the honest recognition that what you have been calling safety is actually a very well-disguised form of the same fear that the law of increase has always called you beyond. There is a specific and painful truth that must be acknowledged about old door loyalty. It does not merely cause the new door to go unnoticed, it causes it to be actively rejected. The new door presents itself, sometimes clearly and sometimes quietly, and the person in old door attachment does not simply fail to see it. They see it and turn away from it. They see it and find reasons why it does not count. They see it and explain to themselves why it is not the right door, not the real provision, not the genuine opening they are waiting for. This active rejection of delivered supply is one of the most heartbreaking aspects of the old door pattern and one of the most necessary to examine honestly. The first rejection sounds like this: "This is not what I do." When the new door requires a form of work, a skill or a professional expression that is different from the old door's familiar category, the identity attached to the old door produces this rejection almost automatically. I am a person who does this specific thing in this specific way. That new door requires something slightly different, and because it requires something slightly different, it is not the right door. But this door is not wrong, it is new, and the person who has confused professional identity with the source of their supply will reject every new door that does not match the old identity's template. The second rejection sounds like this: "This is too different from what I know." This rejection is honest about its motivation in a way the first one is not. It acknowledges that the difference itself is the objection. Not that the new door is genuinely unsuitable, but that it is unfamiliar. And unfamiliar doors require the person to operate in new territory, to bring their contribution into a new context, to engage with a new kind of relationship or exchange or platform. The too different rejection is the mind expressing its preference for the known over the increase. And it does so with enough apparent reasonableness that the person rarely recognizes it as a rejection of genuine supply. The third rejection sounds like this: "I already tried something like this." This is perhaps the most intellectually sophisticated form of new door rejection, because it arrives with the authority of experience. The person has indeed tried something that resembles the new door in some surface feature. That attempt did not produce the expected result. And now when Source opens a door with a similar surface appearance, the memory of the previous failure is used as evidence against the new opening. But the surface similarity between a past attempt and a current opening does not make them the same door. The law of increase is not stopped by a previous failure to navigate a similar-looking channel. The Source can open a door that looks like something you tried before, but carries different conditions, different timing, and a different level of readiness on your part. The fourth rejection sounds like this: "I am too old for this," or "too established," or "too far along in my career," or "too committed to my current direction." These are variations of the same rejection, the rejection of becoming. The new door requires a version of the person that is different from the current one. It requires learning, adapting, starting in a new context, being a beginner again in some dimension. And the identity that has been built around the old door will sometimes use age, experience, or establishment as the reason to reject a genuine opening. But Source does not calculate increase based on how long you have been standing before the old door. The law of increase is available to the person who is willing to move, regardless of how long they have been stationary. The fifth rejection sounds like this: "The old door might still open." This is the most powerful rejection of all, because it keeps the new door dismissed while maintaining the false hope of the old one. As long as the possibility of the old door reopening is held as the primary scenario, the new door will always be experienced as a fallback, a consolation prize, a second choice. And no one brings the full commitment of the certain way to a second choice. The partial engagement that second choice energy produces does not move a new door to full provision. It produces the hesitant, incomplete engagement that confirms the old door mind's prediction that the new door was never the real thing. The sixth rejection sounds like this: I need to wait for the right time. The right time rejection is old door loyalty masquerading as discernment. Sometimes the right time is genuine discernment, but in the context of old door attachment, the right time is usually code for until the old door reopens, I am not available for the new one. And the right time that is being waited for is not determined by genuine assessment of the new opportunity. It is determined by the ongoing, unconscious insistence that the old door must be given every possible chance before the new one is seriously engaged. The seventh rejection sounds like this: this new door is too small. The new door may be at an early stage. It may not immediately generate the same volume of provision that the old door delivered at its peak. And the mind that compares the beginning of a new channel with the peak of an old one will always find the new one insufficient. But early provision from a new channel that is genuinely growing is not small. It is the beginning of a trajectory that the certain way, applied with full commitment, will follow toward greater increase. Rejecting the beginning of real growth, because it does not immediately match the memory of the old door's best season, is rejecting the increase that Source has actually sent in favor of the increase that Source has already finished providing through a completed channel. The eighth rejection sounds like this: this feels unfamiliar. And it will. Every new door will feel unfamiliar because it is new. Familiarity is not a criterion of genuine supply. The old door felt unfamiliar once too. It felt uncertain before you had survived through it and built a history with it. The new door will develop its own familiarity over time as you engage with it, learn its rhythms, build relationships within it, and develop the competence that makes it feel like your own. Unfamiliarity is the beginning of the new door, not a reason to reject it. If you require familiarity before you will enter a new door, you will only ever enter doors you have already been through, and that is not the certain way. That is the old door loop. The fear signal has a very specific vocabulary, and learning to recognize it is one of the most practically important skills of the person navigating old door transition. The fear signal speaks in the language of finality. It says, "This is my only chance." When the mind generates this thought in relation to the old door, it is not offering an accurate assessment of reality. It is signaling that the fear-governed attachment to a specific channel has reached the point where the possibility of other channels has been effectively eliminated from the inner field. "This is my only chance" is a fear sentence. It is the formless substance receiving the signal of singular channel dependence, and the signal is not the truth. The fear signal says, "I cannot start over." This sentence feels like an honest assessment of the practical costs of change, but it is operating as a spiritual ceiling. It sets an upper limit on the possibility the person is willing to consider. It declares that the new door, if it requires starting fresh in any dimension, is not an option. And in doing so, it eliminates exactly the kind of new beginning that the law of increase often requires when old channels have been exhausted. The inability to start over is not a factual statement about capacity. It is a fear statement about willingness, and willingness, unlike capacity, can change. The fear signal says, "The old way must work." This sentence is particularly powerful because it sounds like faith. It sounds like persistence, like the refusal to give up, like the kind of unwavering commitment that spiritual prosperity teaching celebrates. But it is not faith in the source. It is faith in a specific route. And when the route has closed, insisting that it must work is not faith. It is the demand that Source deliver through a specific channel that Source has already finished using. The old way was a way. It is not the Source. And the Source knows ways that the old way never contained. The fear signal says, "I am unsafe without it." This is the most raw and honest form the fear signal takes. It abandons the language of wisdom and prudence and simply declares the terror at the center of old door attachment. Without the old door, there is no safety. Without the old channel, there is no provision. Without the old identity, there is no self. And this sentence, while emotionally honest, is spiritually false. Safety is not in the door. Safety is in the source, and the source is not the door. The person who internalizes this truth not as an intellectual acknowledgement but as a genuine spiritual certainty, has dissolved the core of the fear signal. The corrective line for every form of the fear signal is this: the source is my supply, not the old door. Say this directly and say it often, not as a replacement for honest engagement with the practical realities of change, not as a denial of the genuine difficulty of old door transition, but as the precise spiritual statement that interrupts the fear signal at its root. The source is my supply, not the job, not the client, not the strategy, not the identity, not the familiar channel. The source, the infinite formless substance, the law of increase that is always operating, always seeking new channels, always moving toward more. That is the supply. The door is only ever the delivery mechanism. When you can say the source is my supply with genuine inner conviction, the fear signals that the old door generates lose their primary power. They do not disappear immediately. Fear signals have persistence, especially those that have been reinforced over long periods of old door attachment. But they lose their authority. They become recognizable as fear rather than wisdom. And when the fear signal is recognized as fear rather than wisdom, the choice between maintaining the old door and moving toward the new one becomes genuinely available in a way it never was, while the fear signal was operating as an unquestioned truth. When the old door loyalty reasserts itself, and it will reassert itself sometimes strongly and sometimes subtly, after you have made the decision to release the old door, a specific correction practice is needed. This practice does not require hours of meditation or elaborate ceremony. It requires 6 precise interactions that can be performed in quiet in the middle of any day, when the old door pull becomes strong enough to threaten the turning you have already begun. The first action of the correction practice is to name the old door loyalty that is reasserting itself. Not a general acknowledgement that you are feeling attached to the old channel, but a specific identification. What is the particular thought, feeling, or behavior that is pulling you back toward the old door right now? Is it the habitual check to see if the old client has returned? Is it the late-night calculation of how the old strategy could be modified to finally work? Is it the identity crisis triggered by a new door that looks nothing like the old one? Name it specifically, because the unnamed pull is the most powerful pull. The second action is to grieve honestly if grief is present. This is not a concession to weakness. It is a requirement of genuine release. If the old door mattered, and it did, then its closing involves real loss, real relationships, real history, real provision that is now absent, real confidence that was built through experience with a specific channel and is now navigating uncertainty. Grieving this honestly, without exaggeration and without minimization, is the emotional act that clears the space for genuine forward movement. The grief that is denied becomes the underground current that keeps pulling the person back to the old door. The grief that is honored becomes the completion of the old door's story. The third action is to thank the old door again. Even in the middle of the old door pull, even when the grief or fear or resentment is present, return to gratitude for what the old door provided. This is not positivity performance. This is the spiritual act that Wattles described as essential to maintaining the certain way. The gratitude that acknowledges the full reality of what has been provided and honors it as the genuine work of the formless substance through a genuine channel. Thank the old door again. Let the gratitude be real. Let it complete the story of the old channel with the dignity that genuine provision deserves. The fourth action of the correction practice is to release the old door as source again. Each time the old door loyalty reasserts itself, the release must be performed again. Not because the previous release failed, but because release is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice for as long as the old door attachment has emotional energy. Each act of release is a repetition of the core spiritual statement. This door is not my source. The source is infinite. The law of increase continues, and the channel through which it flows into my life has changed, as channels are permitted to change, without any reduction in the supply behind them. The fifth action is to turn to one new door. After naming, grieving, thanking, and releasing, turn your attention to one specific new channel that is currently open or currently developing. Not in a forced or desperate way, with the calm, deliberate, forward-moving attention of a person who understands that the hallway is alive with new openings and that the source is behind each of them exactly as it was behind the old one. One new door, one specific direction of forward attention. This is the inner compass reset that the correction practice is designed to produce. The sixth action is to take one step, not a plan, not a complete strategy. One step. One concrete action in the direction of the new door that your renewed attention has identified. One email sent to a new contact. 1 hour invested in a new skill. One conversation had with someone in a new context. One update made to the offer. One yes given to an opportunity that the old door loyalty would have dismissed. One step taken with genuine intention and the certainty of the certain way in the direction of the new door that Source has already opened in your hallway. This is the correction practice. It does not eliminate the old door pull permanently on the first performance, but performed consistently, with honesty and genuine inner engagement, it gradually shifts the center of gravity from the old door to the new one, until the turning is complete and the new money door is fully entered. There is a new identity available to you on the other side of old door release. It is not a performance. It is not a collection of positive statements applied over an unchanged inner structure. It is a genuine transformation of the self in relation to source, channels, and the law of increase. This new identity has a specific quality. It is not attached to any particular door. It knows that doors change, that channels are seasonal, that the formless substance can deliver through forms that the old identity could not predict or control. And this knowing makes it freer, more creative, and more genuinely receptive than the old door self could ever be. The statement of this new identity is precise. I honor the old door, but I do not worship it. This is not a statement of coldness toward the past. It is a statement of correct spiritual relationship with channels of provision. Honoring the old door means acknowledging with genuine gratitude what it provided, what it taught, and what season of increase it carried. Not worshipping it means understanding that the door was always a vehicle, and that the source behind it is what was truly sustaining. This distinction, held as a living identity rather than an intellectual concept, permanently changes the relationship between the person and the channels of their financial life. The second statement of the new identity is, I trust Source to open new doors. This is not the casual optimism of someone who has not yet faced genuine old door loss. This is the hard-won, experience-tested certainty of a person who has acknowledged the closing of a real and significant channel, has performed the honest work of release, and has begun to see the hallway move with new life in a new direction. This trust is not dependent on having already seen the new door fully open. It is the faith that Wattles described as the spiritual posture from which genuine increase flows. The certainty that Source has already set supply in motion through a channel that is currently becoming visible to the person who has genuinely turned toward it. The third statement is, I turn toward increase, not toward a specific door, not toward a predetermined channel, toward increase itself. This is the new identity's fundamental orientation, always forward, always aligned with the direction of the formless substance, always available for the new form of provision that Source is currently opening. The person who holds this as their identity does not need to cling to specific doors, because their safety is not in the door. Their safety is in the orientation, and the orientation toward increase, held with genuine faith and forward action, always encounters the open door that the law of increase has prepared. This new identity does not make loss painless. It does not promise that every old door closing will be emotionally easy or practically uncomplicated. What it does promise, in the language of the law, is that the closing of one channel is never the end of supply for the person whose identity is rooted in source rather than channel. The new financial identity is the practical result of everything this teaching has been building toward. The person who has moved from this old door is my only safety to the source can open a new money door when I stop guarding the old one. This is not just a new belief. It is a new way of being in financial relationship with the invisible supply that is always seeking to increase through you. The new identity also includes a new vocabulary. The words you use to describe your financial life are orders placed with the formless substance, The old identity spoke in old door language. I am waiting for this to come back. I need this specific channel to work. My financial life depends on this one provision source. The new identity speaks in source language. I receive increase through every channel source opens. New doors are opening for me now. The source knows the way, and I am genuinely available to receive through whatever door is currently open. These are not mantras. These are the precise spoken declarations of a new inner state, and they are orders to the formless substance that carry the energy of openness, expectation, and genuine availability. The new financial identity is the identity of the new door receiver, not the person who is waiting for the right door to appear, not the person who is managing the anxiety of old door closure while secretly hoping for old door revival. The person who has genuinely turned, genuinely released, genuinely opened their perception and their energy and their action to the new channel that Source is providing. This person walks through the hallway differently. They notice what they could not notice before. They act on what they could not act on before. They receive what was always available, but was invisible to old door attention. And they do all of this not because they have forced a new reality into existence, but because they have genuinely aligned with the law of increase that was always operating, always moving, and always waiting for them to turn around. Let us gather the full teaching of this law and hold it together. Old doors can expire. This is the first and most foundational truth. The channels through which invisible supply flows into visible form are not permanent. They are seasonal. They serve the purpose of delivering a specific measure of increase during a specific period of the person's life and expansion. When that purpose is complete, when the season is finished, the door closes, not because the supply has ended, but because the supply has already moved to its next form of delivery. Old doors expire. This is not failure. This is the law of increase moving forward. Familiar does not mean fruitful. This is the second truth that this teaching has examined in depth. The calculating mind consistently uses familiarity as a proxy for value, treating what is known as what is safe and what is unknown as what is dangerous. But the law of increase does not operate on the basis of familiarity. It operates on the basis of genuine expansion. A channel can be deeply familiar and completely unfruitful at the same time. And the person who continues investing in the familiar, unfruiting channel because its familiarity feels like safety is not practicing wisdom. They are practicing the comfortable version of financial fear. Source can replace channels. This is the truth that makes old door release possible without despair. If the source of supply were confined to specific channels, old door closure would be genuinely catastrophic. But the source is the infinite formless substance that Wattles described, the unlimited field of potential supply that is always seeking new forms through which to express the law of increase in human experience. When one channel closes, the source does not close with it. The source is already opening another channel in another direction, through another door that the person who has genuinely turned toward the hallway will begin to perceive and engage with. Release turns perception. This is the mechanism by which the new door becomes visible. It is not that the new door appears because the old one was released. The new door was already there. Release turns the perception toward it, and turned perception is the beginning of everything that follows. The new contact that becomes a new channel, the new skill that opens a new door, the new audience that carries genuine provision, the new form of service that aligns with the direction of increase that source is moving in the person's current season. Release does not create the new door. It reveals it by removing the attentional commitment to the old one. New doors require movement. The turned perception must be followed by turned action. The certain way is not a contemplative practice without practical expression. It is an inner state and a corresponding outer movement, the clear mental image, the gratitude, the certainty, and the forward action taken on every opportunity that presents itself. New doors require the action of testing, learning, engaging, and walking through even before the full provision is certain. They require the movement that is the physical expression of faith in the law of increase. Without movement, the new door remains an open opportunity that produces no provision, because provision requires engagement, and engagement requires the willingness to step forward before the full picture is available. Money doors open when old doors are released. This is the law as this teaching has expressed it from the very beginning. It is not the only mechanism by which money doors open, but it is the specific mechanism that applies to the person whose old door loyalty has been the invisible governor of their financial expansion. When the old door is released, with honesty, with gratitude, with the genuine inner statement that the source is not the door, and with the turned perception and turned action that follow genuine release, the new money door that source has been preparing becomes the door the person is now facing. And the person who is genuinely facing it, with the full faith and forward movement of the certain way, will walk through it into the next season of their increase. The old door mattered. Do not let anything in this teaching cause you to dismiss or diminish the genuine reality of what the old door provided in its season. The job that first paid you well. The client that first confirmed you had real value to offer. The strategy that first proved the law of increase was real in your experience. The relationship that once carried genuine provision. These were not illusions. They were real channels of the formless substance. They delivered real supply. They shaped real competence and real understanding. The old door has a legitimate place in your story, and it deserves the genuine gratitude that this teaching has asked you to bring to it. Releasing the old door does not dishonor the past. This must be said clearly and with full intention, because one of the most powerful sources of old door loyalty is the misunderstanding that releasing the expired channel is an act of ingratitude, a dismissal of the provision that was once genuine, a refusal of the history that the old door contains. But release is not dismissal, it is not rejection, it is not ingratitude. It is the spiritual act of completing the old door's story with the dignity of honest acknowledgement and the gratitude of a person who has genuinely received through it. The old door's story is not erased by the new door. It is completed, and completion is a form of honor. Releasing the old door honors the future. This is the full truth of what this teaching has been building toward. The future that Source is preparing for you through new channels. The increase that the law is always seeking to express through the person who is aligned with it cannot be received by the person who is permanently anchored to the old door. Releasing the old door is not a sacrifice of the past, it is an investment in the future. It is the act of saying, I trust the source enough to move beyond the channel that has completed its season, and enough to believe that the new door carries genuine increase that is worth the courage of turning toward it. The transition between old door and new door is sacred. It is the moment in which a person's relationship with Source is tested and clarified at the deepest level. It is the moment that separates those who trust the source from those who trust only the specific channel. It is the moment that reveals whether the inner state is governed by the certainty of the infinite supply or by the anxiety of the visible world's argument for old door preservation. And it is the moment that, when navigated with honesty, courage, and the faith of the certain way, becomes one of the most transformative experiences in a person's entire financial and spiritual life. You have stood before the old door long enough to have honored it genuinely, long enough to have tried everything that old door loyalty demanded, long enough to know in the most honest part of yourself that the old door is finished, that its season has passed, and that the supply that once came through it is now seeking a new channel through which to reach you. You do not need to revive it. You do not need to mourn it beyond the honest grief that completes it. You need only to turn around. You need only to face the hallway with the genuine openness of a person who trusts the source. Because the new money door is not on the other side of more effort at the old door. It is behind you, quietly open, waiting for the moment when your hands are no longer busy holding the old one shut. For the next 7 days, you are being invited to practice one specific question. Not a new strategy, not a new plan, not a new approach to the old door. One question, asked with genuine honesty, every single day for 7 days, in the morning before the day begins, or in the evening before it ends. The question is this: what old door am I still guarding out of fear? Ask it clearly. Ask it without rushing to a comfortable answer. Ask it with the willingness to hear something true, something you may have been avoiding naming for months or longer. What old door am I still guarding out of fear? On each of the 7 days, do not only ask the question, take one step away from the guarding and one step toward a new opening. The step away from guarding does not need to be dramatic. It needs to be genuine. Stop one specific behavior that is maintaining the old door. Release one specific investment of energy in a channel that is not carrying increase. Withdraw one specific unit of attention from the expired door and redirect it toward the hallway. And the step toward the new opening should be equally specific and equally genuine. Engage with one new channel. Contact one new person. Learn one new thing. Say yes to one new possibility that the old door loyalty would have dismissed. At the end of 7 days, you will have performed 7 honest examinations of your old door landscape and taken 14 specific actions. 7 steps away from the guarding and 7 steps toward the new opening. That is not a small thing. That is the beginning of a genuine reorientation. That is the law of increase responding to the forward movement of a person who has chosen the certain way over the false safety of old door loyalty. The 7-day practice is not a guarantee of a specific financial outcome. It is the alignment of your daily effort and attention with the direction the law of increase is always moving. And alignment, sustained over 7 days of honest engagement, produces a clarity of perception and a quality of forward movement that old door stasis never can. The 7-day challenge is also a spiritual commitment to the teaching of the Masters. It is the declaration that you are willing to put the law to the test in the most personal and vulnerable dimension of your experience, your relationship with the channels through which money enters your life. The Masters did not offer their teachings as theories to be admired from a safe distance. They offered them as laws to be lived, tested, and verified through the actual experience of the person willing to practice them. 7 days is enough time to begin verifying what this teaching has declared about old doors, new doors, and the infinite supply that moves freely between them when old door loyalty is finally, honestly, and courageously released. In the comment section of this video, there is a practice waiting for you. Name the old door you are releasing, not a vague description of an old attachment, the specific door you have been guarding, the specific channel that this teaching has brought into clear view as the one whose season has ended and whose release is the precise act that Source is calling you to perform right now. Name it and release it in the comment section. Not because the comment makes the release spiritually official, but because naming it publicly, with the honest intention of turning toward the new hallway, is itself one step away from the guarding and one step toward the open door. Comment what you are releasing. And read what others are releasing, because you are not the only person in this hallway, and seeing others turn around helps the turning. The teaching of Wallace Wattles is not a historical curiosity. It is a living law that operates in the exact financial circumstances you are navigating right now. The formless substance does not respect the calendar year. It does not distinguish between the century in which a law was first articulated and the century in which you are encountering it. The law of increase is operating right now, in your specific situation, with the channels that are currently open and the channels that have recently closed. The Masters did not write for another time. They wrote for this moment, for the person in this hallway, for the one who has been facing a closed door long enough to understand that the teaching they needed was never about the door itself. If this teaching has reached something real in your experience, subscribe to the Master's legacy and stay with the teaching. The laws examined here do not exhaust themselves in a single video. They build, they deepen. They apply differently to different seasons of the same person's financial and spiritual life. And the community of people who are genuinely engaging with these teachings, genuinely practicing the certain way, and genuinely releasing old door loyalty to turn toward the new openings that Source is providing, is a community worth belonging to. Stay with the teaching. Let it continue working in you between videos, in the moments when the old door pull is strong and the new door faith is new. You began this teaching in front of an old door. You came to it carrying the weight of old door loyalty, the remembered provision, the identity built around the expired channel, the fear disguised as wisdom, the knocking that has been growing quieter and quieter as the door stays closed. You came with both hands occupied by a door that Source had already finished using as your delivery system. That is not where you are now. The teaching has moved through you. The turning has begun. The hallway is not empty. The teaching has said this before, and it says it again now as the closing truth. The hallway is not empty. Source is always operating in the hallway. New doors are always opening. The law of increase is always seeking the channel through which it can deliver its next season of provision to the person who is genuinely available to receive it. The hallway is alive. The supply is in motion. And the door that has been quietly waiting for your attention since before you walked into this teaching is still there, still open, still carrying the genuine increase of the formless substance, still available to the person who turns toward it with honesty, with faith, and with the forward-moving action of the certain way. The money door opens when your hands are no longer busy holding the old one shut. This is where the teaching began, and this is where it ends. Not as a comfort phrase, not as a motivational slogan, but as the precise spiritual law that the entire architecture of this teaching has been building toward. The new money door exists in your hallway right now. The source has placed it there. The infinite supply is behind it. The law of increase is operating through it, and it will remain available, quietly open, fully stocked with the provision that the formless substance has been preparing for your next season for exactly as long as it takes you to release what your hands have been holding, to turn with genuine faith toward the hallway, and to walk through the door that Source has already opened in the direction of your increase.